you can do is just tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time they're going to know what the truth is.
Yes, it is time for the truth. Right here, right now. This is the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. With your host, John Matthews.
It's a latter-day prophet.
Baying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Hakos.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together, we seek to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your host on the globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos.
And greetings out there all across this great republic and around the world. It is that time right now for the Conservative Syndicate. Once again, coming to you live, coast to coast and around the world, nationally acclaimed, globally syndicated, the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. And we're glad to have you with us in yet another broadcasting day today. And hope you got your seatbelts on. We're going to continue the false narrative out there. I'm calling it the fake news epidemic that has led to a fake news narrative, that kind of thing, that Russia is responsible for the election of Donald Trump. And, you know, we were talking with Don Dix, one of our contributors yesterday, and I shot this question out almost kind of just off the top of my head here, but to me now it has become the primary question. And that is, so what if the Russians hacked the DNC servers? So what if Russia has hacked the State Department? So what if Russia has hacked everything? So what if Russia has pages on Facebook and Google Circles and all the rest of it? So what? What does that have to do with anything in terms of whether or not Donald Trump won the election? Even if we just played the devil's advocate just for a moment and just said, okay, they were responsible, or they helped, or they assisted. So what? I think it's more of an indictment on this administration that they don't have anything in place to have prevented this kind of stuff. And as we've noted and have been noting and will continue to note, Barack Obama is just as technically inept as Hillary Clinton. We now know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, this here, evidence here, fact, not fiction, that he had a pseudonym and was communicating with Hillary Clinton on her unsecured server. And we also know that the State Department was hacked back in 2015. We know that Washington bureaucracies throughout the government were hacked. And so that tells me something else is out there that we should be talking about, and that is the ineptness and the carelessness and the gross negligence of our president. And that is why Hillary Clinton was not indicted, was because it would have dragged Barack Obama into this. But since he's on his way out, I guess they feel it's safe to try to find a demon out there to blame all this on. But anyway, I'm not buying anymore. Personally, I don't care if the Russians hacked it or not. It's irrelevant. Anyway, having said that, get my good partner here, Joe Hakos, on. How are you doing this afternoon, Joe?
I'm good, John. You know, I'm just not as Hamiltonian as our Democrat friends who suddenly now love the founding fathers and how our republic was set up and how we need to make sure it doesn't get undermined by these evil Russians. They're so concerned now, when before it was like, hey, Russia who? Who's that? Russia. What's Russia?
Yeah. Well, I think it just speaks to the bigger question. If Russia, or for that matter, whoever was able to pull this off.
I'd like to just say, whoever it was, thank you.
Yeah. And, you know, I've got my own theory here. That I'm going to probably address sometime during the show today. We'll see how the conversation unwinds. But here's the thought here. Here's another thought I had today as I was just kind of mulling over in my mind what's going on right now. This is further evidence that everything the Clintons touch leads to corruption, lies, deceit, cover-ups, and even murder. Everything. can you think of an administration? You know, about the closest we've come to it in our lifetime would have been the Nixon administration, who spied on everybody. Okay, but that was not due to corruption. That was due to his insecurity and paranoia that everybody was out to get him. But when you talk about corrupt, deceitful, dishonest administrations and public servants, Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton are at the top of that list. And no matter how pure a system is, when they get their hands on it, they leave it in just rags. Just think about it. Think about everything that we found out during her tenure as Secretary of State that she has had her hands on, and how almost everything she touched has been under investigation or has already had investigations concluded. And, of course, she was exonerated because of the politics. But the point being is they destroy everything that they touch. And, the State Department now is just one of the most corrupt agencies in the government outside of the Department of Justice. And then that will filter down to the IRS. It's filtered into the other bureaucracies out there. I mean, everything. This woman has single-handedly destroyed this government.
Oh, no, John. She's had help. That guy sitting in the White House right now, he runs these departments right now. Those are his people. Yes, the Clintons are totally corrupt, but they found someone that's running a close second to them in Barack Obama.
Oh, I don't know. See, I would kind of differ with that just from my perspective here.
How does Barack Obama need a pseudonym if he's not as corrupt as she is?
Oh, I'm not saying that, but see, that's my point. That's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Here's a guy that comes into office with nothing but his ideology to drive him. And he came in thinking that he was going to change everything just because he was America's first half-white president. He was a clean slate. Everybody, he was going to be the great unifier and everything else. Now, obviously, we know that is all talk. It was all talk as a means of fundamentally transforming the United States of America. But I don't think we would have had the issues of quote-unquote corruption to the degree we have since until he put Hillary Clinton in the State Department. I'm not saying he's not corrupt, and I'm just saying because of the way he operates and the way gangsters operate, and I kind of put it to on the same level as that. Then what we find here is that gangsters and syndicate types, the people that think like that, go out of their way to keep things like corruption out of the public eye, and so they don't do stupid stuff. They, and Hillary Clinton just did stuff with this attitude, I can just do whatever the hell I want because I'm Clinton. I don't know if I'm articulating it enough, but I'm just saying she helped Obama go to a different level of corruption. I guess, let me put it that way. He's the ideologue. She is the deceiver. She is the syndicate. All right. She grew up in that environment. Obama did too, but he's driven more by his ideology. She's driven by her corruption. I guess that's what I'm getting at. And so in some ways, she even sucked Obama into that. I think Obama, in his little pseudonym, probably just had to do it because it's like, oh man, she broke my rules. I told him not to do this. She did it anyways, but I still have to communicate with her. So went along with it, that kind of thing. I might be giving him more credit than he deserves, but I'm just saying.
Giving him way more credit he deserves because he didn't have to do anything with her. It was his administration. He didn't have to have her do anything in that as part of that administration.
Yeah.
Period. Zip. None.
I just think there would have been a lot of other things that would have stayed under the radar had she not blown the whole thing up to smithereens. And now we see the big picture.
Absolutely. But hey, it comes down to, Hillary and them think they're so arrogant that they can get away with anything.
Yeah.
But don't hand me the crap that he didn't know there was gun running.
Oh no, I didn't. I'm not saying that. I'm not implying that at all. I'm not. I'm really not. Yeah, I get you there. I'm just saying in terms of being just sucked into these scandals. You get that when you get to that suck factory next to the Clintons. Yeah, you're going to get sucked into it. That's exactly.
what happens. That vortex just just grabs everything. It's like a tornado. It's a corruption tornado, and it's called the Clintons.
Yep. All right, we got to go to our break here. When we come back, we should have Scott Faulkner checking in with us his first week as an actual official contributor here. But I wanted to play something for all you liberals out there listening, because I know just how traumatic everything has been for you. I know how down and depressed you are, and this is a Christmas season, which makes it even more depressing in some cases. And this is our friend Al Franken, former writer for the SNL, known otherwise as Stuart Smalley, just to give you a word of encouragement. We'll be right back.
Daily Affirmation with Stuart Smalley. Stuart Smalley is a caring nurturer, a member of several 12-step programs, but not a licensed therapist.
I deserve good things. I am entitled to my share of happiness. I refuse to beat myself up. I am an attractive person. I am fun to be with.
A healthy attitude toward politics will always be relentlessly cynical. The Conservative Syndicate.net, doing our part to keep America healthy.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification require. Cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Attention taxpayers! If you've received a notice from the IRS or state, do not ignore it. It's also a big mistake to try and handle your tax problem on your own. If you owe back taxes, it's a fact that the government has the power to take everything you own, including your home, business, wages, savings, and your freedom. But here's the good news. There's a special toll-free tax hotline set up especially for you. This tax hotline will tell you about new programs that are geared to help you dramatically settle, reduce, or eliminate what you owe. But you have to call now. Take down this number or put it in your cell phone. But call 866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. When you call, you get free information on how you can reduce or eliminate back taxes, including penalties and interest. You can also be helped if you have unfiled returns, a tax lien, wage garnishment, bank levy, or if you have been entered into a payment plan but can't make the payments. Don't make the big mistake in thinking you can ignore or handle your tax problem on your own. You can stop the collection process immediately. Call this special tax hotline today for free info at 1-866-761-0959. That's 1-866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959.
Am I not speaking English?
TheConservativeSyndicate.net, where we speak only one language, American. All right, hey, we are back, and you are listening to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, along with Joe Hakos, and let's talk about something here that a lot of people aren't really paying a whole lot of attention to, but we have. We've kind of kept our little peripheral vision radar on this issue, and that is the net neutrality. With the election of Donald Trump, some things have changed at the FCC, and we are hoping, expecting, anticipating that somewhere along the line here, shortly after Donald Trump gets into office, that one of the things he will do is destroy this net neutrality stuff, because it's going to play havoc on private sector as things go down the line here. And it looks like, it really, really looks like Donald Trump is really focused on the business side of this thing, as we mentioned yesterday. Talking about his choice for Secretary of State. I got mixed feelings about that, very mixed feelings, and I'm seeing stuff out there on social media that there are a lot of people that have very fixed feelings. But, one of the things that we have said repeatedly on this show is let's not expect a whole lot of social stuff out of Donald Trump. I don't expect him to go after abortion and same-sex marriage and all that stuff. So, having said that, we've got Scott Faulkner with us, doing his first official stint as one of our contributors. How are you doing tonight, Scott?
Very fine. We're waiting for the polar vortex to hit us around midnight.
Well, where do you want to start tonight, Scott?
I'm open. There's a lot of things to talk about. Trump's got only 2 more positions in his cabinet, actually 3 more if you include OMB. So he's way ahead of schedule of all the other presidential transitions. And there's obviously a lot of discussion about what does his cabinet really mean in terms of the next 4 years, because he's clearly breaking a lot of molds.
Yeah, now let's look at the one it's been kind of the controversial one ever since the start, and that was who he's chosen for Secretary of State. And there's in the conservative community, there's very mixed reviews. There seems to be a tendency by conservatives to base everything on the social issues and kind of sometimes disregard some of the other things that are going on. And I understand it. I believe social issues are, in my opinion, the crux of maintaining the civil society, which is the essence of keeping a republic, together. But I never expected Donald Trump to be a social issue advocate. And so what do you think about what's going on right now?
I think we're about to enter the 1700s again. And if you look at really what Trump is doing, he wants to rally the West to crush radical Islam. And he wants to then fight basically position America to fight a mercantile war with all the big trade powers like China and Russia and others. And so on one front, I mean, that's the 1700s all over again, which is you keep the Ottomans at bay, and then you fight it out over who's going to dominate world trade. And I think that's why he's picked a friend of Russia for Secretary of State, a friend of China for the ambassadorship to China, and a whole bunch of military people who hate radical Islam. So, I mean, we really, to understand the next 4 years, we need to look at the 100 years of the 1700s.
Okay, so there's kind of I'm looking at this kind of like a double-edged sword kind of thing. Tillerson is, I guess, was a big or is a big advocate of homosexuality in the sense that he was one that introduced this idea of homosexuality into the Boy Scouts. And that's the part of him that's going to take some big hits from the conservative side of things. But then you would think that would also help him in terms of the Democrats. I mean, what kind of darts can they throw at him if he actually is kind of condoning and advocating and actually help participate in the homosexual movement? I mean, it's kind of like a double-edged sword there, don't you think?
Well, I'm a Reagan Goldwater conservative, which means I'm primarily coming from the libertarian standpoint. We used to call it the fusionism, which was you leave on the domestic front, you leave the federal government out of people's lives, and on the foreign front, you blow the bejesus out of the bad guys. And that's if you go back to the 1940s, 1950s, there was always these parallel worlds of the puritanical libertarians who had sort of a hands-off, almost an isolationist view, and then the interventionists that didn't quite understand what to do with domestic politics. So Buckley and then Goldwater and then Reagan articulated that. It wasn't until the Bush regime came in that you started seeing a lot more of the social issues becoming the cutting edge and defining modern conservatism, but you still have quite a lot of us old fusionists, we used to call ourselves paleo conservatives, that could really care less what people do when the doors close in their house. Mm-hmm. And that's because the federal government should not have any role beyond its core roles of keeping America safe abroad and making sure there's a level playing field for people to be entrepreneurial and enjoy freedom at home.
I agree 100% with you. I am exactly of the same thought that you are, that the federal government has no business in these issues. But to another degree, or another way of looking at it, is that these issues, whether or not we like it, have been introduced by the left purely for the purpose of pandering to demographics, that they think, if we give this to you guys, then, we'll solidify the vote. Very much like the 1964 Civil Rights Act when, Johnson said, yeah, we'll have these blacks voting for us for the next 200 years. It's like...
Exactly.
And so I totally agree that issues like same-sex marriage and abortion and all these other issues that are floating out there, these were created by the left for the purpose of pandering and creating, dividing and creating demographics that they can pander to for votes. So in that regard, we're kind of forced to deal with it. It's not that, as you're saying, I consider myself a little bit to the right of Goldwater in terms of personal freedom. I don't care what anybody does, in the privacy of their own home. But the idea is that these people have introduced it now. And because of that, it is something that we have to defend just for the purpose of just because we can see how it has damaged our entire electoral process, how the political system as a whole, where we're not worried about the thing the federal government's not worried about, and it's given them license to overreach and come into the states and begin to, little by little chip away from the federalist idea and all this other kind of thing. So that's why I'm saying... I feel that needs to be addressed because it's part of the game now. It's part of the package. Sure wish it hadn't been that way, but I think that's the way it is right now. So I think as long as these issues are not dealt with to some degree, and my point would be, let's just give all this stuff back to the state. Let's repeal all these things. Let's get Roe versus Wade out. Let's get the just get rid of them and get it back into the states and let the states decide what they want to do about it. Do you see what I'm saying?
Sure. Right. Well, I think we've got two tracks. One is that I'm hoping that Trump and his administration will embrace the 10th Amendment because that's one of the few amendments that most people don't know, and certainly Obama and even especially the second Bush eviscerated, which is it says that anything not explicitly reserved for the federal government is the domain of the states, in essence. And so that's the essence of federalism. And the 10th Amendment has gotten lost in the shuffle. The other is that we still have chugging its way through a lot of states is the Convention of the States, saying that even in an ideal world where Trump does everything right and appoints all the right Supreme Court justices, and the Republican Congress actually realizes that they should be Republican, that we still could have things reversed at a later point. So it's time to selectively go back into the U.S. Constitution and amend it in ways, and this is where Mark Levin and others have come into the picture, coming up with some new rules of the game that, again, strengthen the 10th Amendment and the whole intent of federalism.
Yeah, I agree. Joe, your comment?
No, I totally agree. We need to get back to the 10th Amendment. And as Donald Trump said during the campaign, we'll let this issue be settled at the state level where it should have been in the first place. Absolutely. The state level for Roe versus Wade, state level for the education system in our nation. I mean, we had an education system that was quite adequate before the Department of Education came along, and now it's totally inadequate because of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%. I'm hoping what I'm hoping is that we have people in Congress, somebody get some balls in Congress to start, acting to repeal some of these things and just get it across Trump's desk. I'm sure if somebody puts something on his desk, he'll sign it, but I don't think he's going to be out there advocating. I guess that's what and probably rightfully so. He really shouldn't be out there advocating all that stuff. He should be doing, I think up to this point, everything that he's doing right now is what he should be doing. So I'm not really have a problem with that. Now, if we can, I just heard today, Scott, that Rick Perry has been chosen for the Energy Department.
That is correct.
How do you think that's going to play out?
Well, I think, again, it's another part of the pattern emerging from the Trump appointments. He's picking people who basically hate the departments and agencies that they're going to run. And that's exactly, if you want to eliminate the Department of Energy, you pick someone who made especially his 2012 run a big deal on abolishing the Department of Energy. You pick someone at the EPA who's one of the leading attorney generals in the country attacking the overreach of the EPA. You put somebody who's in favor of school choice and charter schools and state control of education in as head of the Department of Education. So he's creating some amazing beachheads that if they play out the way that it looks like they're intended, we could end up with an education department going away, an energy department going away, an EPA, if not fully going away, certainly being put back, the genie put back in the bottle. You look at Ben Carson at HUD, you have somebody who grew up in public housing and therefore can come in and go into these neighborhoods, go into the urban areas and say there's got to be a better way because 50 plus years have basically destroyed the inner cities, not helped them, and we've spent over $1 trillion to basically destroy generations of people who live in these inner cities. So we've got some really interesting people. And again, when you go back to Republicans, certainly Democrats, but even on Republicans, incoming presidents tend to pick people who love the departments that they're about to run. Trump is not doing that except in the military and enforcement areas.
Right. So now,
hey, John, just a comment on that. So if that's the case, and Mr. Trump is picking these people for that specific reason that he's going to pare them down or even close them down entirely, that would be the most conservative thing I've heard in 50 years.
Yeah, that's what's fascinating about this. I don't think anybody really figured Trump was going to go in the conservative direction that he's going to the degree that he's going. I'm told. I mean, even some of my more conservative friends who kind of like, okay, let's hold our nose and vote for Trump. They're all out there like, wow, this guy is like. He's like Reagan on steroids, kind of like thing. And I'm thinking, yeah, we were saying here, I think Joe really hit it at the beginning, maybe 3 or 4 months ago when we really realized Trump could win this thing. And we were thinking, I think if Trump gets elected, a lot of people are really going to be surprised. And I'm telling people that now when they say, well, what do you think about Trump winning? I'm like, you people are really going to be surprised as to what this guy's got up his sleeves here. And I'm so far, I'm pretty psyched about what he's been doing. Like I said, I have some little minor things here, but nothing that I think is, totally detrimental to the big picture of what we're trying to do, what he's trying to do here. And so I'm kind of psyched about the whole thing at this point. I hope he just now. One last question here. I'll give it to you now, Scott. Let you think about it during the break because we're coming up on break here. Between now and 2018, the agenda here has got to be to get more seats in the Senate so that we don't have to deal with filibusters and stuff like that. So when we come back, I want to ask you how you think Trump will use what he's doing now to work towards that goal. So stay with us, guys, right here at the Conservative Syndicate. We'll be back in just a moment.
Hey, I'll make you a deal. Give me 60 seconds and I'll give you directions to the Fountain of Youth. Okay, I'm joking. Well, kind of joking. No fountains, but youth, I got Nature's Youth and their premier anti-aging product, Nature's Youth RSF. With your sensible diet and exercise plan, Nature's Youth RSF can help you look and feel better. RSF is an all-natural amino acid supplement that supports your body to naturally increase HGH levels without any synthetic hormones. And elevated HGH levels can contribute to increased energy, improved libido, reduced body fat, and improved exercise capacity. Let's be honest. Who doesn't want to look and feel younger? Visit the newly designed website at naturesyouth.com or call 800-333-6923. That's 800-333-6923 and like them on Facebook and you'll be included in contest and exclusive offers. What a deal. Oh, speaking of deals, my time's about up. 800-333-6923 or naturesyouth.com. Who needs a fountain anyway? Call today.
Expand your life with Expandovite.
When I had a heart attack at 42, I was not sure what the future held. But a year later, the doctors could find nothing wrong with me and took me off all my medication. What did I do? I took a herbal mixture of garlic, cayenne, and a few other herbs mixed in liquid form. I now call this Extendovite. I would have never believed that a few simple herbs could actually change my life like they did. Now it's your turn to see what the powers of garlic and cayenne can do for you. For only $69.95 plus shipping and handling for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid, you too can begin on your path to better health. For more information, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Expand your life with Expandovite.
I've owned my company for 14 years now, and I can tell you that payroll is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It eats up hours I don't have, and it costs me money I could be saving. But my accountant's too expensive, and I'm not sure who to call, but I know I need help.
We're Paychex, and we take all the hassles out of small business payroll. We save you time and money. It's easy. Call, fax, or give us your payroll information securely online, and we take care of the rest. We calculate the correct taxes, manage payments and direct deposits. We even send out your checks. Payroll doesn't need to be a 4-letter word anymore. We're so sure that we can save you time and money that we'll give you a month's payroll free. Just for calling 877-663-3830. Get 1 month's payroll for free. Call Paychex right now. 877-663-3830. That's 877-663-3830.
Hey, I don't back anybody unless I believe in them. And I do believe in the value of investing in gold and silver. And the company I trust to buy my gold and silver from is Swiss America. I've been working with them for nearly a decade. I trust them, and you can too. Swiss America will help you sort through and find the best options available when you're considering investing in gold and silver coins. Listen, for over 30 years, Swiss America has been offering Americans what they want in their investments: safety, liquidity, quality, reliability, and a potential profit. Gold and silver have a place in every investor's portfolio. So, why not let Swiss America help you diversify your investment portfolio now? Call now for free information. 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907.
Hey, Bugsy, you hear the news about Vinny?
Yeah, it's a real shame he owed money to the IRS and they finally cut up with him.
Just like Al Capone.
If the IRS can get the Capone, imagine what they can do to little old Vinny, huh?
Poor cat, he was on top of the world, and bada boom, bada bing.
What Vinny needs now is an offer he can't refuse.
Hey, you got a tax problem? Does the IRS claim you owe them a bunch of dough? They can get you too. So call the tax relief line now and learn if you qualify to negotiate your $10,000 plus IRS tax debt for up to a 75% savings. Don't be like Al or Vinny and get busted. Make this free call now. Learn how you may be able to pay the IRS less.
Call now. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474.
Am I not speaking English?
TheConservativeSyndicate.net, where we speak only one language, American. Okay, hey, we're back, and this is the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. We've got one of our newest, or the newest, no, I think you're the second newest. We picked up Jonathan Dunn also. Jonathan Dunn's going to join us, but he won't be joining us till next month. But Scott Faulkner was the first CAO of the House of Representatives. Was it back in 1995, right?
Right. I came in right after the election to do the transition, and then came on board January 3rd, 1995.
Okay, all right, and has worked with the transition with the Reagan administration. So he's got some good stuff for us here, so inside stuff. Here's my question, Scott, because I think one thing that we really kind of have to look at right now, we know that the left is going to try to oppose everything that Trump is going to do. We know that there are those in the swamp, the establishment known as the GOP, that are going to try to do everything they can do. The idea was floated yesterday that it was John McCain that is driving this elector situation here, the circumventing or the delegitimizing of Donald Trump's victory. That he's one of the big players here, and I'm apt to believe something like that. Him and Lindsey Graham have proven to be, that R after the name doesn't mean Republican. But anyway, I got to thinking about this because, I don't know how well, because of what Harry Reid did with the nuclear option, I don't know how well the filibuster concept will work at this point in the game. But to get that 2/3 majority, we could really got to start looking at 2018. And if all the indicators are Donald Trump has the public pretty much behind him, even though the media is trying to convince us otherwise. And I'm wondering if he will be aware enough. Do you think he'll be aware enough, or the people around him be aware enough to tell him, hey, we got to get a few more senators in here in 2018. I think there's 18 of them coming up for re-election or something like that.
23.
I'm sorry?
23 Democrats.
Okay. And if we could pull in 4 or 5 of those, we could get that. I think we'd have a pretty solid majority there, and we wouldn't have to worry about the Democrats being able to stop anything. And so I'm wondering, do you think somebody's out there, kind of nibbling on his ear, saying, "Hey, let's look 2 years down the road"?
Well, first of all, I think that Trump is bright enough to not make the same mistake that Obama did. Obama came into office in 2008 because the economy was collapsing, and he had the Senate, he had the House. He had the White House, and he squandered the first 2 years pushing Obamacare. If he had pushed some sort of economic recovery that was real, he might have done a lot better. So Trump now has the same thing. He's got the House, he's got the Senate, he's got the White House. He's got a mandate because people were hurting in the economy. The so-called recovery was only a recovery for first select few. So Trump has got to do some things to deliver to his core base. He's got to get America back on a solid footing, whether it's reduction of taxes, reduction of regulations, infrastructure, other kinds of stimulus that fit into his platform, such as building the wall. He's got to be able to deliver something so those 30,000, 20,000 people who are showing up at all these rallies, including Wisconsin last night, will say, we did the right thing. He's heard us. He's working for us. We are feeling better. We are physically measurably better because he's in the White House and the Republicans are in charge of Washington. So he's got 2 years to basically deliver on expectation. If he does that and avoids the mistake of Obama, where Obama, pushed way off in the left-wing direction, we're going to have a really good 2018.
Yeah, because there are several Senate seats that coming up that are going to be, I think, very open, very vulnerable.
Big time.
Yeah, and like I said, you could pick up, let's say, hypothetically, we pick up between 5 and 8 and maybe as high as 10 out of these 23 Democrats, and I think that's totally possible at this point. I mean, if Trump proved anything, he proved that anything can happen. So
sure, but he's got to have a good record to run on. He has to go to the voters and hopefully have those 20,000-30,000 airport rallies going into 2018. Look what I've done, and have something real to show for it. But you're right. You look at the Democrats that are hanging way over the edge. I mean, these are people who are the beneficiaries of Romney being completely, dead in the water in 2012. And so you look at where Romney totally stumbled, the Democrats took advantage of it, and now where Trump won. Virginia, where we have someone like Ed Gillespie, who's spectacular, he's running, of course he's running for governor this time, but we have people like him that are in, the Republican Party is revitalizing in Virginia. You got West Virginia, you got Ohio, you got Pennsylvania, you got Indiana, Michigan, Wisconsin, North Dakota, Montana, Florida, Missouri. These are all states, some of them like Montana, that Trump won by huge margins. And now we've got a Democrat sitting as an incumbent in each of these states, and they're hanging way out on the limb.
Yeah, I kind of find it fascinating when I look at things like what's her name down there in the House, Barbara Jackson, I think, Congresswoman for Texas.
Sheila Jackson Lee in Houston.
Yeah. That's it. Okay. And you look at liberals up in Montana, and you're thinking, how in the hell they pull that off? I mean, these are traditionally very conservative states. How do you get a Looney Tune like what's her name, Shirley Lee?
Sheila Jackson Lee.
Yeah, Sheila Jackson. How does a state like Texas get somebody like this elected? It just blows me away.
It's an urban center. It's called Houston, and that's how that happens.
Yeah, well, I can see it out here in California because the way that they've cut the districts out here and everything. California is going to be so much like pissing into the wind. It's going to be such an uphill battle here to turn this state around. But, when you think about liberals in Montana, I'm like, wow, what an oxymoron. I can't put my head around that. But now, one other thing here, quick, I think we can cover this in about 3 minutes here before we go to our short break here, Scott. The Feds have finally raised their interest rates. And the first time I heard it yesterday, and I went, here it is. The Fed is trying to do something to destroy Trump or do their bit to try to undermine Trump, although I'm not so sure that raising interest rates is a bad thing. What's your opinion on that?
Well, you remember that Volcker did a lot of things to try to torpedo the Reagan economy as well, and there was momentum that overcame that. And I think the same thing here, that Yellen is a dogmatic lefty, and you could have basic discussions about whether the Federal Reserve should even be around. I mean, I'm a big fan of Rand Paul about auditing the Fed, because I think there's a lot of things that they're doing that are totally unaccountable, and they should be held to account. Right. So hopefully the Republicans in Congress will take some time to really go after them in ways that they've never been gone after.
Okay, correct me if I'm wrong, though. Is the Fed position, is that something that can she be replaced?
They are term appointments, so unless she's caught, robbing a bank or something, she's there for the duration.
Okay, and what are the terms for the Fed?
I think it's like a 10-year term.
Okay.
It's a 6 or 8 year term.
So unless they die or retire or get caught with something, we're stuck with her like we are with James Comey then.
That is correct.
Okay, all right. I wanted to clear that up. The Fed is not one of my strong suits here in terms of how it operates, but I agree. Rand Paul, I'd love to have Ron Paul running the Fed. I mean, there'd be some house cleaning there. We got to go to a break here, or a quick break here. We've got Scott Faulkner with us here, I guess you're going to say the overseer of citizen oversight and author of the book Naked Emperor. Stay with us, guys. We'll be back in just a moment. We got a lot more for you. We'll be right back. There is an old saying, children should be seen but not heard. At no time is this more apparent than when politicians speak. The Conservative Syndicate.net, the adults in the room. Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did. History affirms a vibrant civil society thrives on freedom of conscience, religion, and choice. Any society absent these qualities stifles individual responsibility and accountability, thus enslaving its people by denying them their potential for goodness, creativity, and altruism. To that extent, oppression, coercion, and totalitarianism are multiplied exponentially. To counter such outcomes, the American Freedom Alliance was formed. The AFA is a nonpartisan, non-aligned movement which promotes, defends, and upholds Western values and ideals. The Alliance strives to build an international coalition of citizens of the West who together promote and protect moral values, democracy, and freedom. To find out more and become part of this valuable asset in the preservation of freedom and all its rewards, contact us at AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. That's AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. Let freedom ring.
Am I not speaking English?
The Conservative Syndicate.net, where we speak only one language, American. All right, we're back, and we do want to encourage you to take a moment, maybe over the weekend. That's the best time to do this. We get a week's worth of shows out there. Go to our website, theconservativesyndicate.net, and you can pick up all the archives and check us out. The people that are on our panel, Scott Faulkner here is one of our newest members, and find out what we do, why we do it. I guess our motivation behind it. There is a method to our madness. That's how I like to refer to what we do here. Yeah. We've got Scott Faulkner with us, and Scott, last thing here in the time that we have left here. Joe and I have been really closely following the FCC ever since the net neutrality issue came up. I believe it was in the middle of last year.
Right.
And we're looking at it now, and FCC Chairman Tom Wheeler offered to step down as long as they kept another Democrat on there, a particular Democrat. Jennifer, I can't even pronounce her last name. I tell you, that ought to be one of the qualifications for being an American is you got to have a name we can pronounce. Rosenworcel, I think her name is Jessica Rosenworcel, one of the other Democrats. So
Jessica Rosenwald. She used to work for Rockefeller, Senator Rockefeller, and she's been on there since 2012. Her term is coming up at the end of this month.
Yeah, and what I'm hearing is that the Senate hasn't reconfirmed her for another post, and I guess they went on recess, so everything is kind of hanging in the balance here. It looks like they're not going to renew her term, which means Wheeler will stick around. But that's a 2-2 split right now, and they got to pick a Republican here. Here's my question. Right. Do you think Trump will pick a Republican, or do you think he'll pick somebody outside the box?
Well, he could pick a Republican who's outside the box. In all of these regulatory agencies, you get the party in the White House gets to flip the equation. So right now, because of Obama, you have 3 Democrats, 2 Republicans. Mm-hmm. With Rosenwald term coming up, Trump can pick a Republican, and all of a sudden we've got 3 Republicans, 2 Democrats, and the commissioners themselves pick the chairman. So if you have 3 Republican votes, guess what? Wheeler's not going to be chairman of the FCC very long.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's going to be Pai. What's his name? Ajit
Yeah,
Pai.
Ajit Pai. He's been on there since 2012 in May. He's considered heroic by some in standing up against FCC overreach.
Yeah. We've been trying to land an interview with him, and he told us that he just wants to wait until the dust settles. Let's see what happens here. Can't say I blame him. So you think the net neutrality deal that Obama's trying to overreach and nationalize the internet? Do you think that's going to go away?
Yeah, Trump today had a summit up in New York with a lot of the top digital tycoons, and he talked about net neutrality, and he's against it. So he's already laid the drew the line in the sand in the concrete to say there's no way net neutrality is going to move forward under his administration.
Yeah. Now Trump could. I mean, I'm thinking, given his pattern so far, you think Trump could really step outside and maybe pull a libertarian in there or something like that? Could he not?
Absolutely. Plus, the other thing, and it's being talked about in a lot of think tanks around Washington, is get rid of the FCC completely.
Yeah.
Just like if you remember back in 81, 82, Reagan got rid of the Civil Aeronautics Board. A lot of people forget that there used to be a federal agency whose main role was to determine flights and ticket prices and hubs and everything else. And then Reagan said, hey, how about just let the market do it?
Yeah.
And the same thing could happen with the FCC. As long as you have somebody somewhere maintaining a registry of who's in charge of what bandwidth, which could be under patent and trademarks, there's really nothing else the FCC really should be involved in.
Right. I agree. Yeah, I agree 100% here. Joe, do you have any questions you want to ask Scott here? We got about 5 minutes left.
The fact is, like Scott said, Reagan got rid of the one thing. So, it seems the theme is for Mr. Trump, President-elect Trump, is to reduce the size of government, especially at that level. These appointment positions and these agencies that with their rules and regulations that hold the same weight as law, although they're not, they don't go through a legislative process. So again, would be more akin to the 10th Amendment kind of states' rights thing. So I'm kind of Ajit Pai. If Mr. Trump wants to go with that route, I kind of like I'm just waiting. Supreme Court nomination is going to be coming up, and that's one of the victories that we had this past quote unquote lame duck session is they did not allow Barack Obama's choice to get put on the floor for confirmation, and so Mr. Trump, come the end of next month, the beginning of February, I think we're going to see a Supreme Court nomination go up in front of the Senate, and hopefully by the spring, we'll have a new Supreme Court justice in there.
Yeah,
and with the demographics and basically actuarial charts working for us, we've got potentially 3 more appointments Trump could make in the next 4 to 8 years.
Oh, it would be so great.
And they're all, except for Kennedy, who's the ultimate swing vote. The other 2 are, Breyer and the other one there is, they're both total liberals. So we could end up reshaping the court for a generation.
Yeah, it would be great to have a 7-2 split. Would just be, I would feel so much better about what's going on with everything else. I could just see it happening. Just a few. We've got a few minutes left here, Scott. Is there anything on your radar? Something on your radar you want to talk about? We got about 3-4 minutes left here.
I think going back to what does a Trump foreign policy look like? That he's certainly starting to slap China around for what their overreach in the South China Sea, but then he puts a friend of the current president of China in as ambassador. So he's kind of carving out some interesting running room on both our 2 kind of frenemies in Russia and China. And so it'll be interesting to see who he picks as ambassador to Russia down the line. And again, his focus is crushing radical Islam because that is a existential threat to the entire way that we live, the entire Western world. you get them off the page, and then you're back to figuring out how do you keep Russia from messing with the Balkans and the Baltics, in particular Estonia. And so what signals does he send to Russia to say, we don't want you to do any more in Ukraine. We'd like to get you out of the other parts that you pushed into
like
Crimea,
Syria, Syria.
And also we'd love to try to level the playing field a bit in the Middle East, where Russia has expanded radically its influence and footprint thanks to Obama's retreat from the region.
Right. Yeah. Just a closing thought here. Any quick opinions here on what's going on with the Russia hacking allegations?
It's ridiculous. The number one, the Democrats have tried to destroy the credibility of every Republican victory since they went after the Willie Horton ads in 1988 when Bush 1 crushed a caucus, and then they said, well, the only reason Bush won was he went racist, which is wrong. Then in 2000, the only reason Bush won was the Supreme Court. He wasn't really our president. And now this time they're trying to say delegitimize Trump. So every election cycle where the Republicans pull something out, they're trying to delegitimize.
Yeah.
In Trump's case, he's going to thumb his nose at him. I mean, most ballots are not electronic. I mean, they're filled out by hand on paper ballots. They're read by electronic scanners. They are you have down at the county level you have certifications of these ballots, and they pick one or two close precincts at random and hand count. So this whole thing is stupid.
Well, yeah, it was funny. I was hearing some of the results, especially like up in Michigan. Detroit actually was overwhelmingly for Trump. Detroit. Oh. I mean, it's like, okay, first of all, that's right outside of Dearborn, which is a Muslim haven, and then it's run by Democrats, and it's like, yeah, that's kind of indicative. I think every recount they had, Trump ended up getting more votes than less. It was like
Wisconsin is a perfect example. They went with a full hand count, and he gained votes. So and I've been musing we ought to do New Hampshire, Minnesota, and maybe Nevada. We might pick up 3 more states for Trump if we did some recounting.
Yeah. Okay, we're out of time here, Scott. I wanted to give you a few moments here to promote whatever it is you need to promote right now.
Well, again, love to have people connect with me on LinkedIn. A lot of my articles are published there. Also, the Citizen Oversight on Blogspot is where articles by myself and some of my other colleagues, where we again try to tell people that you can hold power accountable at every level, whether it's the county and town that you live in, certainly the national government. So myself and the other contributors on that site always go after the waste, fraud, and abuse, but more importantly, we constantly cite examples of how normal citizens can stand up to the powers that be and hold power accountable, and that's an important thing for all of us if we want to live in a democracy for ourselves and our grandchildren.
All right, I thank you so much. We're so happy to have you as part of our panel here. I really enjoy talking to you.
Same here.
All right, my friend. We'll talk to you. Have a good Christmas, because we're going to all be off next week. So have a good Christmas.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. I mean, hopefully everyone gets what they deserve or what Santa can give them. So hopefully we'll all have a good Christmas this year.
Yeah. Coal in the stockings out there in Virginia. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks so much, guys. We're at the bottom of the hour, top of the hour here. Time for the Edwards Notebook. Pay some bills, and then we'll be right back. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away.
America the Beautiful is already benefiting from the Trump effect. Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook, after 8 dark years of economic misery, the United States economy is starting to show visible signs of life. Pro-American Donald Trump is still waiting in the wings before stepping into his elected role as President of these United States. But amazingly, he already has done more before taking the oath of office to invigorate the U.S. economy than outgoing progressive President Obama did over the past 80 years as the leader from behind president. Because Donald Trump took the time to reach out to Bill Ford, the Ford Motor Company has modified plans to ship auto production to Mexico, and thus jobs will be spared in Michigan. Air conditioning manufacturer Carrier of Indiana will now not be pulling up stakes and moving their headquarters to Mexico. With the promise of reducing America's burdensome corporate tax rate and abusive regulations, the legendary U.S. economy is once again poised to take off. By God's grace, good days are dawning upon our republic.
Happy days are here again.
Don't blow it this time, America. I'm Ron Edwards.
A healthy attitude toward politics will always be relentlessly cynical. The Conservative Syndicate.net, doing our part to keep America healthy.
Prices are for base buildings only. May not be available in some areas. Attention business owners, do you want a stimulus package that really works? Before you spend thousands of dollars more than you should on your next building project, listen to this. General Steel has a stimulus package designed to help you save as much as half the cost of conventional construction on your next building. As much as half. That's right, General Steel can save you thousands of dollars with a pre-engineered steel building designed for your business or church. How about a 50 by 100 foot building for under $30,000? So don't pay thousands more than you should without calling General Steel first and save as much as half the cost and time of conventional construction. With the projected demand for steel in Japan and China, prices may be skyrocketing.
877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. Term life insurance. It can be a powerful way to protect your assets and your family. You work hard to earn and save your money to build a nest egg for the future. Don't let it get wiped out because you didn't plan ahead. Take the time now and make a small investment in $500,000 or more in quality term life insurance. Call the Term Lifeline and let us shop the best companies to give you the lowest rates. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. Ask about some of our 10 and 20-year fixed rate plans with guaranteed rates. Call the Term Lifeline right now for your free insurance quote. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609. You owe it to yourself to protect your family and your assets. Make term life insurance part of that plan. Call the Term Lifeline right now. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
Hey, all you can do is just tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time they're going to know what the truth is.
Yes, it is time for the truth.
right here, right now. This is the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. With your host, John Matthews.
The latter-day prophet. Baying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Hakos.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together, we seek to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your hosts on the globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos.
All right, hey, we're back. And this is the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos, and I hope you enjoyed the first hour there with Scott Faulkner. I really like having him on our panel right now, and I'm just as enthused that we were able to score Jonathan Dunn, but he'll be with us after the holidays. He's tied up over there. Christmas is a big deal in Ireland, much bigger than it is here. In terms of tradition. Over here, it's commercialism. Over there, it's still very traditional. So, anyway, we'll have him with us, and we're really rounding out a good panel. I think we've got some really good people on our panel. Don't you think, Joe?
I think we got some excellent people on our as panel members here.
Yeah.
I believe it's a well-rounded, kind of diverse, in a good way, not a divisive way, as it is implied, but. We got some people with well-rounded experiences. I mean, Mr. Faulkner here is absolutely. He's been on the inside. He's got some good insight to what's going on, and the stuff that you won't hear out of the established media presence that everybody has.
Yeah. And my conversations with Jonathan Dunn also. He's got that real hardcore. I'm going to say hardcore libertarian slant, which and because pure libertarians to me, I like being around. The mixed breed hybrid types, I don't, but the real hardcore libertarians. And I think this guy has an appreciation for American exceptionalism far beyond most Americans I know.
As do a lot of our immigrants that came to our nation illegally. They have a great appreciation for what this country is. They want to have an American heart. They want to be part of America, not part of bring what they left to here. They want to change here to be like there. That's just that kind of stuff is foolishness, and it never works for us, the United States.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to get back to the allegations that are flying around about the Russians being responsible for Donald Trump being the president-elect. And I'm at this point, and my view is kind of like, hey, if Russia is responsible for this, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. You have done exactly what our press has been chartered to do, but refuses to do because they are in the tank politically with one party over another instead of being there to protect America.
Yeah, and I would love to see the narrative coming out of the Trump camp right now. I know Trump's in the business. I think Trump overall is handling very well. He's kind of like, you guys do whatever you want to do here. I'm in the process of putting together a team, and we're going to get to work. And that's a great attitude to have here.
Yeah, and it's great to as Scott was just telling us last hour, he is way, way ahead of schedule. So he's going to hit the ground on January 20th. He's going to be hitting the ground running. He's going to have everybody ready to rock.
It's going to be amazing. I kind of envision this stuff. The best of all worlds, and you try to envision this. The day after the inauguration, coming out and saying, by the way, I stayed up a couple hours extra late last night, and we undid every executive order that Barack Obama signed. We got that done already. Anyway, along the lines of this allegation stuff, I'm going to share it with you just here real quick here, just a couple of minutes, because Joe's got some really good stuff for us today. I saw this article today just before it came on the air by German Lopez over at Vox. A single typo may have given Russian hackers access to the Clinton campaign's chair's emails, okay? And it talks about there's an aide, Charles Delavan, Clinton campaign aide, replied to another Mr. Podesta's aides who got a phishing message about changing a password. And what he's saying is that he meant to tell the guy that the password change was illegitimate, but actually sent a message saying it was legitimate, and doing that allowed Russia to gain access to all of Podesta's emails, a decade's worth, which they promptly turned over to WikiLeaks. Okay? There it is, guys. It doesn't get any more asinine than this, all right? That an aide somewhere pushed through a typo. A typo was responsible for the Russians gaining access to John Podesta's emails, and then they promptly turned it over to Russian hackers or to WikiLeaks and sending it out there. Well, we know that Julian Assange is adamant about the fact Russia is not involved in this. And when we get back, Joe's got some good stuff for us here that we're just going to keep making our case. But keep all this in front of you. Everything that we talk about from this point forward about these allegations. Here's the big point, the big picture. It doesn't make a damn bit of difference whether the Russians hacked them or not. It really doesn't. And, I think Trump said in a debate once, hey, if you can hack the emails, I think there's a lot of people who would appreciate it. Well, we certainly do. If you were the ones that did it, Vladimir, hey, you have an honorary spot in our hearts, all right? So stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. We'll be back in just a minute. A healthy attitude toward politics will always be relentlessly cynical. The ConservativeSyndicate.net, doing our part to keep America healthy.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Attention taxpayers. If you've received a notice from the IRS or state, do not ignore it. It's also a big mistake to try and handle your tax problem on your own. If you owe back taxes, it's a fact that the government has the power to take everything you own, including your home, business, wages, savings, and your freedom. But here's the good news. There's a special toll-free tax hotline set up especially for you. This tax hotline will tell you about new programs that are geared to help you dramatically settle, reduce, or eliminate what you owe. But you have to call now. Take down this number or put it in your cell phone. But call 866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. When you call, you get free information on how you can reduce or eliminate back taxes, including penalties and interest. You can also be helped if you have unfiled returns, a tax lien, wage garnishment, bank levy, or if you've been entered into a payment plan but can't make the payments. Don't make the big mistake in thinking you can ignore or handle your tax problem on your own. You can stop the collection process immediately. Call this special tax hotline today for free info at 1-866-761-0959. That's 1-866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959.
Am I not speaking English?
The Conservative Syndicate.net, where we speak only one language, American. All right, hey, we're back. The Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos, and we're back on the topic of the Russian hacking allegations that Russia is the one responsible for making Donald Trump getting Donald Trump elected, because all the emails that the Russians have been gathering and hacked through the Podesta server and everything else, all this is all the Russians' fault, and they all forwarded it all over to Julian Assange over there at WikiLeaks, and Assange just strategically planned to dump this stuff into the public eye for the purpose of circumventing Hillary Clinton. And aside from the question as to why Putin would want Donald Trump as president versus Hillary Clinton, who he could have just pushed over, the reset button would have been another reset button, a series of reset buttons. It just goes to show that just the ignorance of that, like Hillary Clinton was going to be some force to deal with in the foreign theater out there, one way or the other, when all she would do is just continue what Obama was doing, and that's leading from behind. And I think in part some of what's going on right now is to try to distract and deflect from his failures as a president. This, when you really start weighing this out and measuring this out, really by the standard template that the media and the pundits out there usually use to measure a president, certainly Barack Obama has to go down in history as one of the most inept. I think Jimmy Carter was one of the most insecure, but I think Barack Obama certainly is the most inept in our lifetime. Without a doubt, because everything this guy has touched has just turned to, kimchi. So, having said that, I'm going to turn the con over to Joe, because Joe's got a whole series of things here. He's got this thing just wired down. You got it, Joe.
Okay, so the media and the Clintonites and the siblings, the offspring of Nancy Pelosi, they all want the Electoral College members to get the information, because we must have the information from the American public deserves it. But really, that's not what they really want. And so we've been hearing nothing but the Russians have done this. The Russians have done it. The Russians have done it. Oh, the Russians. Okay, so my thing is let's hear it right from Julian Assange. What does Julian Assange have to say? And Julian Assange did an interview with John Pilger earlier this month. Just let me double check on that, because I got this written right down here. Let me take a look at. Let me get the info on this.
Okay. Well, while you're doing that, one of the things I think nobody's even approached about briefing these electors with what they think the government has in terms of Russia hacking. Wouldn't these electors need security clearances to get this stuff?
That's exactly. That's something to think about. Do they need that? Is it classified? The methods and how we gathered this stuff is important. How do we know? And it's like typical Democrat, typical leftist. They don't care about national security issues at all. So they don't care as long as they get what they want. They don't care. This was an interview, and this was done right before the election. Right before the election was on the 8th of November. This was conducted on the 5th of November. And so so what we're talking about is the emails to Clinton and John Podesta, Clinton's chief campaign manager, campaign person. So this first clip is Julian Assange, and he's basically explains to what exactly we're talking about when his involvement and whatever that is. He just explains what these Clinton emails are. So here we go.
We've published quite a number of different sets of emails. So about 33,000 of Clinton's emails while she was Secretary of State. They come from a batch of just over 60,000 emails. In that 60,000 emails, Clinton has kept about half, 30,000, to herself, and we've published about half. And then there's the Podesta emails we've been publishing. Podesta is Hillary Clinton's primary campaign manager. So there's a thread that runs through all these emails. There is quite a lot of pay for play, as they call it, giving access in exchange for money for many different states, individuals and corporations, combined with the cover-up of the Hillary Clinton emails while she was Secretary of State has led to an environment where the pressure on the FBI increases.
So, there's the emails. This is what Assange did. He let this out because our own press was not about to investigate or do anything, check into the Clinton Foundation or anything else that Hillary Clinton was doing, and then to find the via a typo, as John just was saying, the report out of Vox, which is yeah, sure, okay. So they got a hold of Podesta's emails where they were shown to, hey, we're going to conspire against Bernie Sanders. We're also going to collude with the media, CNN, etc., on how to ask questions, what kind of questions we want. So it's kind of like, okay, fine. And then Mr. Assange is like, okay, what about this? He's asked about, what about the Russians?
I mean, the Clinton campaign has said that Russia is behind all of this. It says that Russia has manipulated the campaign and is the source for WikiLeaks and its emails.
The Clinton camp has been able to project a kind of neo-McCarthyist hysteria that Russia is responsible for everything. Hillary Clinton stated multiple times, falsely, that 17 US intelligence agencies had assessed that Russia was the source of our publications. Okay, that's false. We can say that the Russian government is not the source. Yes.
Well, there's Mr. Assange right there saying it's not the Russians. Try again. Try again with another guess. Whatever it is you think you have, but it is not the Russians. And the 17 information sources that they keep coming up with, as John says before. John, who is in charge of these 17?
Oh, Mr. James Clapper.
Mr. Clapper, that's right, Mr. Clapper.
Yeah. Clap it on, clap it off.
And so we're going to clap it off because Mr. Clapper is going to resign here soon.
Yeah, but and one of the things we talked about this briefly back when these allegations first came out about Assange, and it was shortly after that. I can't remember the exact time frame, but I know it couldn't have been but a few weeks, maybe. Just it was a very short period of time. See, I don't know if the administration of Obama has driven me into the conspiratorial waters more times than I care to admit. But I've always thought that there's much more behind the scenes going on, because you consider the fact that people like Obama and the Clintons, Hillary Clinton in particular, came out of the Chicago political machine. And, everybody ties Hillary to Arkansas, but that's only because she married a redneck from down in Arkansas. But she was raised and groomed in the Chicago political machine. So my thing is, when we talk about Julian Assange, remember, you may recall, those of you listening may recall, that there was a DNC committee staffer who was murdered. And it was, again, speaking to a Dutch television program, News for, back in August 10th of last year, Assange was offering a $20,000 reward for information leading to the arrest of Seth Rich's killer. Seth Rich was a employee at the DNC. And you'll remember he was killed at like 4 o'clock in the morning. They tried to pin it on a robbery, but nothing was taken from him. His credit cards, his wallet, his jewelry, anything that he had on him was still on his person when they found his body. And Assange had made a statement. He said, whistleblowers go to significant efforts to get us the material and often very significant risks. As a 27-year-old, works for the DNC, was shot in the back, murdered just a few weeks ago for unknown reasons as he was walking down the street in Washington. The interviewer interjected that the murder may have been a robbery. Assange pushed back and said, no, there's no finding. So I'm suggesting that our sources take risks. When pressed as to whether Rich was in fact the leaker, Assange stated that the organization does not reveal its sources. So there was something in that taking of that life of Seth Rich, that triggered Assange to want to find out who was behind his death. And I, at that point, and as anybody with a reasonable sense of understanding of what's going on, if you got the IQ of seaweed, it's not a far stretch to think that these emails that were leaked to WikiLeaks came from inside the DNC itself. And that is something I think that the Democrats are even more fearful of revealing or having found out, that there was a source within the DNC that was leaking stuff. And, and that's what I was alluding to at the very beginning of the show when I said that whenever the Clintons touch something, it gets so dirty and muddled and muddy and corrupt and deceitful, and people die. People die that are associated with the Clintons.
Yes, this has happened before.
And we know, I think it was retribution. I'm just speculating here. Again, we don't have any evidence, but if the leftist media can come out with Russia being the source of everything, I can come out with my own allegations, okay? I don't need evidence. I am who I am. And that's sufficient enough. But it would make sense that perhaps not the Podesta emails was the caused the death of this young man, but perhaps the revelation that the DNC was in cahoots with the Clinton campaign to make sure Bernie Sanders never got any farther than he did.
And we know that to be true.
Yeah, we know that. See, those are facts. We know that the DNC colluded with the Clinton campaign.
Absolutely, because those were in the emails.
Right. Donna Brazile, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, the whole 9 yards there. We know that they were in collusion with the Clinton campaign. We know that. There's evidence. There's a smoking gun. Why isn't anybody investigating that? Because I bet you that's where it came down. Somebody in the DNC said, I can't go along with this anymore, and decided, hey, I'm going to spill the beans, whether it was Seth Rich or somebody else yet to be discovered. But the point is that somewhere down the line here, somebody on the inside said, this has gone too far, and we got to do something to stop it. Maybe it was somebody on the inside that really kind of secretly wanted Bernie Sanders to win. You never know.
That's quite possible.
Yeah.
But speaking of that, since we're talking about the emails, let's have Assange, and he will defend his organization, and rightfully so. Listen to let's see if the New York Times can have a record like this.
WikiLeaks has been publishing for 10 years. In that 10 years, we've published 10 million documents, several thousand individual publications, several thousand different sources. And we have never got it wrong.
Bingo. Haven't got it wrong. Haven't been proven wrong once in all that time. So, as we said, it doesn't really matter where these came from. It's not the Russians. That's foolish and foolish talk, and very, very foolish talk to have nations doing that to another nation state, especially one with nuclear weapons. Yes, very, very foolish. But WikiLeaks has never been found to be inaccurate once. Not once.
No. People may not like the idea. I mean, I'm not so sure that I'm personally very crazy about somebody who has the ability to hack my emails. Okay, not that I'm saying that anybody really gives a damn what my emails are about, but the point being is that I'm not really crazy that there are people out there that know how to do this kind of stuff, and probably do it better than the NSA. Apparently.
The point is, if we had an honest to goodness press that gave a crap, wasn't so in the tank and partisan for one particular party over another doing their damn job, then the Assanges of the world wouldn't have to work. Wouldn't do this. They'd probably still do it, but it would already be old news because this stuff would have been brought out the old-fashioned way. Yeah, well, if the media was doing their job as they were supposed to, organizations like Assange would be that right-wing extremist element out there that nobody paid much attention to. They would be like the National Enquirer or something like that. But they've become the relevant source for everything because we can't get the real people, the people that are supposed to be doing the job, to do it. We got to go to break here. We're at the bottom of the hour. I believe Joe's got more. You got more when we come back, right? That is correct. We'll put some of this into context, yes. Okay, all right. We'll be right back. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate.
State Talk Radio, WRS Cleveland.
Hey, I'll make you a deal. Give me 60 seconds and I'll give you directions to the Fountain of Youth. Okay, I'm joking. Well, kind of joking. No fountains, but youth, I got Nature's Youth and their premier anti-aging product, Nature's Youth RSF. With your sensible diet and exercise plan, Nature's Youth RSF can help you look and feel better. RSF is an all-natural amino acid supplement that supports your body to naturally increase HGH levels without any synthetic hormones. And elevated HGH levels can contribute to increased energy, improved libido, reduced body fat, and improved exercise capacity. Let's be honest. Who doesn't want to look and feel younger? Visit the newly designed website at naturesyouth.com or call 800-333-6923. That's 800-333-6923 and like them on Facebook and you'll be included in contest and exclusive offers. What a deal. Oh, speaking of deals, my time's about up. 800-333-6923 or naturesyouth.com. Who needs a fountain anyway? Call today.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
When I had a heart attack at 42, I was not sure what the future held. But a year later, the doctors could find nothing wrong with me and took me off all my medication. What did I do? I took a herbal mixture of garlic, cayenne, and a few other herbs mixed in liquid form. I now call this Extendovite. I would have never believed that a few simple herbs could actually change my life like they did. Now it's your turn to see what the powers of garlic and cayenne can do for you. For only $69.95 plus shipping and handling for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid, you too can begin on your path to better health. For more information, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
I've owned my company for 14 years now, and I can tell you that payroll is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It eats up hours I don't have, and it costs me money I could be saving. But my accountant's too expensive, and I'm not sure who to call, but I know I need help.
We're Paychex, and we take all the hassles out of small business payroll. We save you time and money. It's easy. Call, fax, or give us your payroll information securely online, and we take care of the rest. We calculate the correct taxes, manage payments and direct deposits. We even send out your checks. Payroll doesn't need to be a 4-letter word anymore. We're so sure that we can save you time and money that we'll give you a month's payroll free. Just for calling 877-663-3830. Get 1 month's payroll for free. Call Paychex right now. 877-663-3830. That's 877-663-3830.
Hey, I don't back anybody unless I believe in them. And I do believe in the value of investing in gold and silver. And the company I trust to buy my gold and silver from is Swiss America. I've been working with them for nearly a decade. I trust them, and you can too. Swiss America will help you sort through and find the best options available when you're considering investing in gold and silver coins. Listen, for over 30 years, Swiss America has been offering Americans what they want in their investments. safety, liquidity, quality, reliability, and a potential profit. Gold and silver have a place in every investor's portfolio. So why not let Swiss America help you diversify your investment portfolio now? Call now for free information. 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907.
Hey, Bugsy, you hear the news about Vinny?
Yeah, it's a real shame he owed money to the IRS and they finally cut up with him.
Just like Al Capone.
If the IRS can get the Capone, imagine what they can do to little old Vinny, huh?
Poor cat, he was on top of the world, then bada boom, bada bing.
What Vinny needs now is an offer he can't refuse.
Hey, you got a tax problem? Does the IRS claim you owe them a bunch of dough? They can get you too. So call the tax relief line now and learn if you qualify to negotiate your $10,000 plus IRS tax debt for up to a 75% savings. Don't be like Al or Vinny and get busted. Make this free call now. Learn how you may be able to pay the IRS less.
Call now. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474.
Am I not speaking English?
TheConservativeSyndicate.net, where we speak only one language, American. Okay, hey, we're back. And this is the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. And we're talking about the, I guess, putting things in context here. Julian Assange has more than once come out and said without a doubt, the Russians are not the ones that hacked into the DNC servers and forwarded that information over to WikiLeaks for disbursement as seen fit by the WikiLeaks crowd. And in doing so, ensured that Donald Trump would be elected president. I'm still trying to get my head around the fact that, you know, you would think we had Audrey Russo on yesterday, and she thought that Vladimir Putin wanted Trump because Putin likes a challenge.
Yeah, right. No, Putin
I don't think so. I wouldn't agree with that.
He would rather do things the easy way.
Yeah, I mean, when you're running a country, an empire as big as Russia, the last thing in the world you need is an adversary that's worthy of your of your attention, you know, when you've got somebody like Barack Obama that has allowed you to do whatever you wanted to do. Think about what Putin's been able to do since Obama was in office. He's been, you know, geographically, he's been trying to rebuild the Russian Soviet Union and going into the Ukraine and, you know, just advancing at will, doing what he wants and getting involved in the Syrian war over there, doing it unopposed. You know, outside of saber rattling and, you know, sending Hans Blix over there with a letter, we're really upset, you know, that kind of stuff. So why would he now say, yeah, you know what, I'm looking for a challenge. Let's get Trump in there so that I have somebody to fight with. That doesn't even make sense.
Thanks, Rocky.
Yeah, you know, I'm bored sitting here. World conquest is so boring. So, you know, Jesus.
Yeah, it's Napoleon when I need him. Yeah, come on. Yeah.
Anyway, let me give the con back over to you, Joe, so you can put all your stuff back in the context here.
So we're talking about Russia, and you know, Russia's this big threat, right? Now Russia's this big threat, but I wonder if everybody recalls, and we touched on it briefly last night with Obama mocking Mitt Romney in the third presidential debate in 2012. And it was just like, oh, really, Barack? Barack comes out and poo-poos the idea of Russia being anything of any kind of trouble, which goes to John's point that he was just making. Really? Putin would rather have a challenge now with Mr. Obama? Here's Mr. Obama just absolutely mocking Mitt Romney.
Governor Romney, I'm glad that you recognize that al-Qaeda is a threat, because a few months ago when you were asked what's the biggest geopolitical threat facing America, you said Russia. Not al-Qaeda, you said Russia. In the 1980s are now calling to ask for their foreign policy back because, you know, the Cold War has been over for 20 years. But, Governor, you know, when it comes to our foreign policy, You seem to want to import the foreign policies of the 1980s, just like the social policies of the 1950s and the economic policies of the 1920s. You say that you're not interested in duplicating what happened in Iraq, but just a few weeks ago you said you think we should have more troops in Iraq right now. And the challenge we have, I know you haven't been in a position to actually execute foreign policy, but every time you've offered an opinion, you've been wrong.
Yeah, and Barack Obama is never wrong because, what kind of magic wand does Donald Trump have to keep jobs in America? Yeah, he's never wrong. But as you can see, Mr. Obama didn't think much of the Russians was just 4 short years ago. He didn't think much of the Russians. So I think you got something for me there, John.
Well, I tell you, the whole concept. I mean, I don't know. I so freaked out back when the realization came to me that we had Richard Nixon in the White House, and this guy was hearing voices in his head, for all we know. And I'm thinking, God, we were so lucky to have escaped the damage of somebody like that. Just to have somebody like Barack Obama, who, a legend in his own mind. I mean, here's a man that has been constantly just touting his entire administration, how smart he is, how above the rest of us, how he's just eons beyond the rest of us in terms of his reasoning ability and strategy and understanding the big picture and everything else. And then when you lay the facts next to every one of his claims, I think we did that last week, and it was like you really see what a failure this guy is. And yet everybody's still sitting out there thinking that he's just outstanding, one of the best presidents we've ever had in the eyes of the media.
John, he's got a Nobel Award. He's a Nobel laureate, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great, beyond belief.
Yeah, and I'm really wondering why nobody over there in Copenhagen has come and asked him for that Nobel Peace Prize back. Because everything that he's tried to do, in fact, I was hearing it today. Let me throw this out here to you. I was listening today to Limbaugh coming home from some errands that I had to run, and he was bringing up the fact that Barack Obama had been touting, all this success that he'd had and everything else over the years, and it was just. How did he put it? Boy, the thought was there, and it just kind of evaporated there. But it was like, one of those senior moments, I guess. But it was so indicative of the thinking behind it. Was so indicative of just how delusional people like Barack Obama are when it comes to blowing their own horn and how great they are. It's just, I don't know. I'll have to think about it here when we come up in a break in a couple of minutes here and see if I can recall the thought. But the whole idea, the whole concept that he was floating out there was it was so spot on. It was really spot on. And it's really how do we need to, the prism that we have to view the administration of Barack Obama through in order to get the clear picture as to actually how much damage this guy has done to our republic, to our society, to our economy. All the things. I mean, we can go down the list here. Everything he's touched. You're telling us that Al Qaeda has been destroyed, or at least has been contained.
They're on the run. And
yeah, they're on the run. Okay, and you're gauging that by the fact that you think that you've taken some action. You've taken some sand. Okay, they don't possess as much sand as they used to. So what?
Meanwhile, they're funding their terrorist activities by the oil that they steal from the region. Of course. I mean, it's exactly what his predecessors were trying to prevent.
Yeah, exactly. So, I wish I would. The thought was so clear just a moment ago, and now I'm sitting there just banging my head against my water bottle here. What I missed it. I lost the thought. It would have been such a good one.
Oh, yeah. Well, we could go to the break and give you a chance, or we could play the last clip I have.
Yeah, why don't you do that? Go ahead and play the last clip here so we stay on schedule, and then we'll go from there.
The last clip, as Assange noted in one of our previous clips, is in charge of the 17 intelligence agencies. And this was last month on November 17th in front of Congress. A representative Schiff from California asked the question of James Clapper about the Russian involvement in WikiLeaks. And let's hear what he has to say.
That we know whether the documents provided to either cutouts or WikiLeaks had all been provided prior to the statement that was issued, or is it entirely possible that they?
Now, the statement that was issued was the Barack Obama administration telling Putin and the Russians, "You better stop that.
Yeah.
Please stop. We know you're out to something. You better stop that." So listen to the response on this, okay?
Dumping of documents continued after the statement, and what may have been avoided was a further escalation of the interference in the form of trying to monkey around on Election Day or thereafter.
I was referring to the cyber reconnaissance that we had observed. Many state entities had observed prior to the statement, and that sort of activity seemed to have curtailed. As far as the WikiLeaks connection, the evidence there is not as strong, and we don't have good insight into the sequencing of the releases or when the data may have been provided. We don't have as good insight into that.
Okay, I want everybody to let that sink in a little bit, and as we go to our break here, what Clapper just said about WikiLeaks and the Russians and what his agencies, quote unquote, do or do not have. I want that to sink in as we go to break.
Yeah, we'll go to the break here because I got my thought. It came back. So we'll be right back, guys. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away. There is an old saying, children should be seen but not heard. At no time is this more apparent than when politicians speak. The ConservativeSyndicate.net, the adults in the room. Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did. History affirms a vibrant civil society thrives on freedom of conscience, religion, and choice. Any society absent these qualities stifles individual responsibility and accountability, thus enslaving its people by denying them their potential for goodness, creativity, and altruism. To that extent, oppression, coercion, and totalitarianism are multiplied exponentially. To counter such outcomes, the American Freedom Alliance was formed. The AFA is a nonpartisan, non-aligned movement which promotes, defends, and upholds Western values and ideals. The Alliance strives to build an international coalition of citizens of the West who together promote and protect moral values, democracy, and freedom. To find out more and become part of this valuable asset in the preservation of freedom and all its rewards, contact us at AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. That's AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. Let freedom ring.
Am I not speaking English?
The ConservativeSyndicate.net, where we speak only one language, American. Okay, we're back, and this is a Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. Okay, I've gathered my thoughts here. The senior moment went away. The iron supplements have kicked in. My memory's back. It was, again, I was listening to Limbaugh, and this is in line with what Joe was saying earlier about Obama mocking Mitt Romney back in 2012 during the debate. That's what triggered the thought in my mind. Listening this morning to Limbaugh on the way back from some errands that I was running, and he had a caller that called in, and she was reading from a New York Times piece about Barack Obama and his relationship with Russia. And I'll read you the couple of paragraphs here so that give you context to what I'm going to say here. She's talking. She says to Rush, she says, I want to focus your attention on that New York Times piece because in it is why Trump got elected. It wasn't because of hacking. It's a little paragraph way down, and it says that Obama knew about the hacks in 2014, but did not let anybody know and did not call out Russia because he needed Putin with Syria. They were dealing with Syria, and Obama was trying to build his relationship with Putin because of Syria. Okay, what was going on in Syria. And it says 2014 comes after 2013 with the red lines when Obama backed down. Remember all the red lines in the sand that got erased as each line was drawn. Obama was never dealing from a position of strength after that. We weren't winning anymore, as Trump kept repeating. Trump kept saying, we're going to win again. Obama didn't call out the hacks. He didn't call out the hacks back in 2014 because he thought he needed Russia. He was worried about straining the relationship between Russia because of what was going on in Syria and because of the fact that he thought it would start a cybersecurity war, which apparently they knew they would lose because nobody knows what's going on.
Well, they also knew that Hillary Clinton has an email server sitting in her bathroom.
Yeah, and of which we now know Obama had a pseudonym and was using that server.
Yeah.
So I guess what he was thinking was, well, geez, we have talked about this. We talked about this. What if, as James Comey alluded to, Hillary Clinton is out there in the highly technologically advanced areas like Russia and China, and she's using her BlackBerry to communicate through an unsecure server. And that information gets picked up by one or more of these countries, which James Comey alluded to.
Yep.
We believe that she probably was hacked. We don't have evidence because anybody that would have hacked her, we wouldn't be able to tell you who they were anyway. That falls in line with James Clapper saying we don't really know, as Joe just played.
Well, hold on a second. I wanted that to sink in, so let's remember what he would say right here.
As far as the WikiLeaks connection, the evidence there is not as strong, and we don't have good insight into the sequencing of the releases or when the data may have been provided. We don't have as good insight into that.
So the head of the 17 intelligence organizations that the Democrat Party and their operatives, i.e. Nancy Pelosi's offspring, keep on spouting out there, says before Congress, we don't have anything. Sorry, we're not there.
Yeah, so when let's put this in context. Barack Obama knew back in 2014 that there had been hacks. They know the State Department had been hacked. There'd been some other bureaucracies. The DNC got hacked. Some of the congressional people, I think they said up to 200 accounts had been hacked. All right, now, he chooses not to say anything at that point in time.
2 years before the election.
Yeah, 2 years before the election. And he did it because he thought he was going to be able to negotiate some kind of agreement with Russia in dealing with Syria. That didn't work. It never even came close to working. And the other idea was, here's the other part of it. He was afraid of a cybersecurity war with Russia. And now what would that mean? That would mean had Russia had information, or China, and maybe worked in some kind of unholy alliance with Russia, and that information was now out there in their possession, and he comes out and starts calling Russia for hacking, they could turn right around and completely destroy his administration if they had the information. Okay? They're saying here, what's going on here is, this is what's going on. Apparently, Russia had access to some of the things that were going on in the DNC, or not, I'm sorry, let me correct myself there. Not the DNC, but they had gained access to the State Department. Okay, that is what seems to have occurred. What's gone on with the DNC and what is filtered down to WikiLeaks, however that came into Assange's possession, is now trying to be grouped with the Russians. And why did they do that? Because everybody will be more focused on Podesta's emails than any potential classified information that was compromised through communications between Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama on an unsecure server. See, so the timing is that we need to do it now to try to run damage control. Let's deflect and distract and make it all about Podesta's emails and WikiLeaks, and let's just lay it on the Russians, when in fact the real problem here is that apparently somebody in Russia, whether it be their intelligence agencies or whatever, somebody gained access to the State Department emails, or somebody gained access to the State Department communications.
Go figure. You got an unsecure email server run by the person in charge of the State Department.
Right, and even more important is the fact that if that comes to full light, then we will find out that Barack Obama was communicating with Hillary Clinton under a pseudonym.
We know that already. That came out through the WikiLeaks.
But what I'm saying is that will be the issue that comes to the forefront, and the DNC hacking will mean absolutely nothing at that point. All eyes will be focused on, did Barack Obama willfully and knowfully, through gross negligence, communicate with Hillary Clinton on her unsecure server, and the possibility that there was classified information exchanged, which the Russians or the Chinese could have picked up. See,
so can Barack Obama pardon himself for national security violations?
Right. So what happens is, if that came to light, if that came to the forefront, if the media was really investigating this, and that came to the forefront, if somebody said, hey, let's dig back in 2014 and find out what happened with the State Department got hacked, and we find out at that point that Barack Obama is actually guilty of compromising classified information, it changes the entire narrative. All of a sudden, the WikiLeaks thing is irrelevant. It doesn't mean anything anymore, except to the leftist wackos who would still be pounding that message as meaning that we should do the whole election over because the Russians were involved.
Yeah, with no proof. Again, with no proof.
Yeah, again, with no proof. When we have proof that Barack Obama was guilty, knowingly and willingly guilty of communicating through an unsecure server.
That's correct. And we got that proof by Julian Assange and WikiLeaks that should have been done by some investigative reporter here in this nation. That way we don't have to worry about Assange sitting at Ecuadorian consulate over in Britain. Yeah, okay, great, wonderful. Nice
now, what
job,
we're talking
Julian.
about at this point...
I don't like you hacking anything, but I do appreciate the information you gave the American people, and that's what the American people have the right to know.
Right,
Secrets of our government.
Yeah, if nobody else is willing to do it, hey, wherever it comes from is fine with me. But the point being is that what we'd be talking about right now is whether Barack Obama should be indicted. That's what we'd be talking about right now. And so this whole thing is a cover-up, not only to delegitimize Donald Trump, but to cover for Barack Obama. Because Hillary Clinton, believe it or not, folks, Hillary Clinton's expendable in this. Okay, she's not. They're not trying to protect Hillary Clinton. That should be obvious. They don't care. What happens to Hillary Clinton is that's her problem. She brought it on herself anyway. But the idea is that now we got to protect Barack Obama. If Barack Obama's reputation is destroyed, imagine how hard it would be for the Democrats to be able to do anything. We'd have a 100-seat Republican Senate in 2018.
We're not going to go that far, but yes, they would have a veto-proof majority.
Yeah, with the exception of the Berkeley crowd out here in California. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, we're coming up on the end of the show here, and I hope you got something out of this today. Tomorrow, I'm not really sure. I want to kind of get off this topic. Tomorrow, we'll get into something else. Maybe the Supreme Court nominations that will be coming up here, and some of the other choices that Donald Trump has made. Cabinet posts, Rick Perry and Rex Tillerson, We'll talk a little bit more about that tomorrow.
So go to our webpage, conservativesyndicate.net, go to our YouTube channel, and check everything out for us. And share it with your friends.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, guys, we'll talk to you tomorrow. We love you. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in to this edition of the Conservative Syndicate, the nationally acclaimed, globally syndicated, politically incorrect talk show that seeks to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state. We want to make you aware you can find and access all our show archives at our website, theconservativesyndicate.net, as well as our broadcast stations and times. That's theconservativesyndicate.net. We so appreciate you taking the time to tune in, and we so look forward to continuing to bring you the best in uncompromised talk radio available on the net today. And remember, folks, it doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down in life. It only matters how many times you get up. I'm John Matthews, along with Joe Hago, signing off until next time right here at the Conservative Syndicate. God bless you, and may God continue to bless America.